Hey there, Juan Morales here, and in this episode we're going to discuss one of the most important distinctions I've ever found out in the past few years that has really helped me get clarity on what I want to achieve and at the same time what do I need in order to achieve it. And I call this distinction the end zone versus the red zone. So let me give you the example of where this came from. For the longest time, when I was creating content, products, offers, whatever it was, my goal was to get it sold. And because it was to get it sold, I put everything in my power in order to get people to buy it. And that's where I was focused on, to getting people to buy it. But here's where I made the mistake. It's not only that you want them to buy it, is that the purpose of any offer within the scope of your business is to bring people closer to you in the sense of turning a buyer into a repeat customer. If someone buys something from you, you want them to buy again. Now, what I thought the end zone was, which was getting it sold, is different from what the real end zone is supposed to be in order to achieve that goal I just told you about, which is to create a repeat buyer, which is to have a happy customer. And this is something that even though I had read about these concepts before, even though I had heard all kinds of quotes and stuff about it, it never really clicked to me until I realized this important shift. I used to think, and this is why I use this naming of the football analogy, I used to think that selling was the end zone. The end zone is a touchdown area within the football field where the points get scored. However, when I realized this, what I realized was that selling to someone is not the end zone, it's actually the red zone. And the red zone in football, for those of you that don't follow football as closely as I do, the red zone is the last 20 yards before getting to the end zone. So it's close, but it's still not a touchdown. It's close, but it's still not the end zone. So here's what happened. When I was creating products and I was creating offers, I was focused on what I thought was the end zone, but in reality was the red zone. It was outside of the end zone. Getting it sold is not the issue, right? Yes, it can become an operational issue and it becomes the sales issue of getting it sold, but what really gets you going in that direction and to make even better offers is to focus on how do I make them happy? How do they become happy at the end of this? Because what's going to happen after that is that they bought that first time from you, and now they're happy they bought from you. So guess what? Now you have further sales that you can make along because you have a happy customer. But because most people, especially in the internet marketing world and usually in the online space, that people focus on just getting it sold. That's why everybody here, I'm sure, has bought something online that later on regretted because the service wasn't any good or there was no support for what they wanted or it just didn't really fit what they were looking to do. Versus focusing on getting that customer the results they're looking for. Getting them to become happy because they've already seen that. And let me share with you an example of something that I did with a client when this shift occurred and how that changed our results. So I'm creating a product with a client, and I've done it with this client many times before, and we're using the organic reach that he has on social media and all these things, and we usually would get some sales, but it wasn't a blockbuster product by any means. It was just a good offer that we did, and every time we had to recreate everything, so it was always kind of working from scratch. New product, new offering that we're doing, etc. So a couple of months back, we decided to shift that model and shift it into a monthly event type model where everybody gets put into that monthly event and then people just go through that event, that experience that we do every month. So that became the entry point for the funnel. Now, here was the really interesting part. When we were discussing creating this, because we had to repeat it so many times, and because there was, of course, an upsell at the end of that first product, by nature, we wanted this to be something that created happy customers. So we really shifted the focus of how can we get more sales to how can we make them really, really happy that they bought this? What else can we throw in that's going to make that experience better? And by better, I don't mean that you're just going to add more stuff in there so that they get more confused, but actually how do they get the result? And sometimes that can be less information. But in this particular case, it was more of creating a live connection. It was more of creating a thought out process that they can follow, creating exercises that would be interactive in such a way that they felt they got all the value and that they could do that from their houses. So all these things kind of created a better offering. Fast forward to a couple of months later, now we're selling that out every month. And we're making 2 to 3 times what we used to make because we focused on that. Because guess what happened? Of course, we have everybody coming in on the first month and they're joining in and they're getting that first product and they end up happy, which naturally begs them to go to that second product. So now what happened is we have a pipeline of products that we're putting in front of people because they're all designed to create happy customers, not just to get sold. And that was a huge transformation because when you focus on that, when you focus on having a happy customer instead of closing, instead of getting that deal, because a lot of people, when they think about creating an offer, they focus on closing the deal, getting the best end of the relationship, whatever we want to call it. And that's a very short-sighted way of looking at relationships versus understanding that, yes, you can close a deal, and obviously it'll be needed to have any deal closed in order to get sales, but more importantly than the actual sales that you get right away is the fact that you're getting a client that is now a part of your ecosystem. And that means that you can nurture that relationship with that person and turn them into a way more valuable client down the line. This is what all the big brands do, and this is why they got to the top of the food chain when it comes to building businesses and building lasting businesses at that. So I always want you to keep in mind that focusing on making your customers happy is the end zone. Getting them sold, that's just the red zone. You're close, but you're not there yet because you have to deliver. And as long as you can see these things separately instead of only understanding, oh, I need to sell, because what happens when you're only thinking about selling? Well, a lot of the times you're going to oversell yourself, which means that you're going to jump into products because you want to get sold, but you're not really thinking through whether you are or are not able to really deliver for that client in a way that they're going to be happy about it afterwards. And this is a critical distinction to understand. The more you understand this, the easier everything becomes down the line. Because if your focus is on getting them that result they're looking for, then you leave no stone unturned to get that. So that they write you a testimonial saying, this was amazing, it worked for me. And just a few months ago, nothing was working, but now it is working. And that's where you have to come from. That's where you really apply that whole begin with the end in mind strategy of thinking of that being the end not being when you were able to get that credit card payment or were able to get that wire payment or whatever it looks like to you. It's not that. It's in the fact that these are happy clients that are telling other people about you because they had such a great time, that they're looking forward to your next product or your next offering because they've had such a great experience with you. And the only way to achieve this is to focus on their results first. Because if they get what they want, that creates that happiness that they're looking for. And if they get what they want in a way that's less demanding of them than other ways out there, they're even happier about it. This is why so many people struggle and fail to put their offers out there. They're only focusing on closing the clients. And they close them and they can get paid a lot of money, but then at the end of the day, they don't serve their clients the right way. And if you are going to invest into someone becoming your customer, if you're going to build a business that lasts, you need those lifelong customers that just buy the next thing from you. So again, don't confuse the red zone, which is getting it sold, with the end zone, which is to have happy customers. Till next time, this is Juan Morales signing out. I'll see you on the next one.